started. Good morning and welcome to meeting number 6 of the 90-day breakthrough challenge. And for me particularly, today is a special day because we are launching my newest book. This book is a curriculum. I just decided to put it into a tangible form so that I can give it to people who don't necessarily sign up for the programs, particularly that program called Shift Your Mindset. So I'm glad to see you today, 9th March 2024. We will mostly have a conversation, a series of hot seats, and try to have as many as we can. This is one slide that I would like us to master. Those 7 ingredients: your intentionality, your mindset, your vision, your goals, your pursuits. This framework will help you make sure you are not ignoring any area that is crucial in ensuring that you actually succeed when you are pursuing anything. Every single time we've spoken about it, we've started at the top. But today, I want you to pay attention to what lies at the center of that 7 list item. At the center of that list is action. When you are stuck at the level of awareness, you can't figure out your level of awareness. You can't figure out what you need to learn. You can't figure out what you need to change. You can go straight to action. Nothing clarifies your vision, clarifies your goal, your pursuit, like action. In other words, you proceed to the arena. Now, don't get into the arena and make some stupid mistakes. For example, it's a business, you jump in and you throw millions at it before you really know that this business is going to work. You start off by taking action, take actions, test the idea, jump in and feel the environment. When you lack clarity, you proceed straight to action. Once you start taking action, it will improve your awareness. It will necessitate your learning. You go to a customer, you make a presentation, you realize you don't know how to describe your product. You go back and learn more about the product and learn how to present it. It will necessitate change. You go to the customer, you present, it doesn't work out. The next customer, you change your presentation because of that. So action becomes the anchor point on which you check your awareness, or you figure out what you need to learn, and you also figure out what changes you need to start taking. When you start pursuing a goal for which you have clear level of awareness, you know what you need to learn, you know what you need to change, then you start from the top. But when those are not clear, you don't let them hold you back. You proceed straight to action. The other thing that action does is when you take action, it necessitates, immediately you start taking action, you start meeting obstacles, it necessitates resilience. It necessitates your ability to face and overcome obstacles and endure. Action also necessitates reflection, because when you take action and you don't reflect, then you miss out from the opportunity of figuring out what is my level of awareness? What level of learning do I need to pursue alongside this project? What do I need to change? All those first 3 are answered by number 6. And that's why it's important to not remain stuck at awareness, learning, and change. You proceed straight to action if you are not clear about the first 3. Because once you take action, it gives you feedback. It tests you immediately. You figure out whether you are really determined to persist, that is resilience. But most importantly, action gives you material to reflect on. And as you start reflecting, you reflect and improve your awareness. You reflect and point out the learning that you need. You reflect and you point out and you become more aware about where you need to make changes. And then all these 3, because this can be a laborious process, especially when you are dealing with a big project or a bold, big, hairy goal that requires accountability. Accountability with yourself, not letting yourself off the hook because of your emotions. Not letting yourself off the hook because you are discouraged, you are distracted, you are disconnected, or you perceive what you're pursuing as difficult. You persist. You hold yourself accountable to leave only when you are done. You are done learning what you need to learn, and now you know that this is not what you need to pursue. You hold accountability with colleagues or friends who are on the same journey, people with a similar vision, a similar destiny, not just a similar history, similar values, not just similar interests. You hold yourself accountable through working with a coach or a mentor or a teacher or a trainer, so that you have all those levels of accountability. But accountability means nothing without groundwork already being done. If there is no action, there is no room for accountability. What are you being accountable for? For scrolling on social media, for snoozing, perfecting the skill of snoozing since 2007? When you start taking action, that's when you create room for all these other ingredients. Action clarifies where you are. It clarifies the strength of your skill. It clarifies what you need to change. It clarifies whether you really have the tenacity to persist through. Action gives you the fodder to reflect on, so that you can be aware, you can learn, you can change, and you can even strengthen your resilience. Then action creates room. It necessitates accountability. And I wanted to make sure that you see this intentionality commitments from that perspective. And each of those 7 items is a lens. And when you look at the whole list from one lens, you see it very, very differently. And it becomes a tool that you can practically use in whatever direction you want to go. So that if you are dealing with a project that requires a lot of learning, then in that circumstance, if you look at it, you look at the entire list as if it's centered around learning, then it guides you in a different direction. So for today, we are going to deal with this list as if everything we are doing is centered around action. How does action influence awareness, learning, and change? And how does action necessitate resilience, reflection, and accountability? How can action move you from where you are? And of course, we are talking about focused action. We are talking about action that compounds, so that the first, second, third, fourth step you take, they are all aligned and they're all building up, so that you're not moving bricks around. You are stacking them on top of each other and you're building a wall. That will be the introduction for this session. And now we will jump straight into the hot seat. And let's see who is the lucky person today to start off this segment for us. We have about half of the people on video. Could we have more people on video? I know Gladys is on the road. Eunice, KPLC is about to surprise you like this. The rest of the people, could we please turn on your videos? Great. We are going to start off with, let me fix this order so that it doesn't keep flipping on me. Where is fix? Follow the host's video order. Yes. All right. So let's get started. Eunice, you haven't been on the hot seat. So this is your beautiful morning to be Eunice Courier, to be clear. Please turn on your microphone, Eunice.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. How are you doing today? Congratulations
Quite well.
on being our first hot seat participant today. It's exciting, right?
Thank you. Not really.
Why not? I wonder why it's not exciting.
I'm the guilty people who just jumped out of bed.
Okay, you will have 2 minutes. You are taken off the pin. You have 2 minutes to do 10 push-ups, even if you have to do them on your knees. So go off video, do your 10 push-ups. Okay?
Okay.
Then you'll be back. Then you'll be back. Need to remove the pin. That's because we are breaking through, so we have to break through physically first. Now the pin has disappeared. I need to get Eunice, or maybe you'll be back. All right, everybody has to be stretching as you wait for Eunice to come back. Just be stretching, everyone. Uh-huh.
Done.
You've done the first 10, okay? Right. So
Yes.
that is for everyone. Everyone, we wake up in the morning. Yeah, and come on, give Eunice a round of applause. 10. She has just laid the first brick. From here, it is what the next brick is going to hold. All right. So we just go straight to the areas where you are taking action. But of course, that begins with what are you, if 2024 went amazing for you, I'm meeting you in December, 2024 went really, really, really well. Tell me the most important thing that happened for you in 2024.
In 2024, for me to be very amazing is that I would have started an income generating project
So
aside from my main hustle.
you are still in March. I'm meeting you on 29th of December at 3 p.m. at Java in Westlands, and you are telling me, oh, 2024 was amazing. So tell me one thing that happened. What happened in 2024? How was this year?
I started a farming project, and it is doing quite well.
Okay, what are you?
I'm able to make.
What have you been farming?
So far, I haven't started yet, but I'm in the process.
No, you are back in March.
Oh, this is December. Okay. So I'm doing small scale horticulture in terms of spinach, sukuma wiki, danias, hohos, just on a small scale. I'm also doing bee farming.
How much are you making per month? How much did you make in December, in November, and how much are you expecting to close this month, December, with?
I made 200,000.
That's great.
So I'm expecting to close, being December with the festivities, I'm expecting to make a bit more, maybe around 250,000.
Where is your farm located?
It is in Kikuyu.
Do you own the land?
Yes.
How big is the land?
Around 3/4 of an acre.
Okay. In March, how come you waited and so much later? How come by March you hadn't started it?
Because I still need to get the capital and the proper guidance.
We are in December, so we are looking back to March. Yes. So
So by March, I was still gathering the experts to help me on this journey.
How long had you been gathering the experts?
Like an year prior, going for sessions, yes, doing my information, groundwork, doing. So I feel I am ready to start.
You are in March. We are in.
Yeah, in March. I was ready to start.
You are ready to start in March.
Yes.
Right. It's so what was holding you back from having one strip, one 4 by 4 meters square area of a bit of spinach, a bit of each of these things? What was holding you from starting to take small action, even if it's just small action, so that you can actually see and start learning, the basics? What was holding you back?
No, small action was already there. It was just not commercialized.
Not commercialized. Okay. All right.
Yes.
And
more
so
for a tryout.
So you were trying. So when did you actually, this 2024, when did you actually go in, like fully?
By April, I had already, when I made my plans for the calendar for January to June, I had already put specific days on when I will go and actually start this project, being the last week of March, to combine it with the Easter break. Yes. Awesome. So I planned for the last week of March, taking leave from my usual job and combine with the Easter break to purchase for drip lines and ensure they're all installed.
That's fantastic. What obstacles did you anticipate when you were starting?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Main obstacle was capital, because land is already available. So just major was capital. Then I decided to do this in piecemeal.
What did you need?
Start with what is not expensive.
What did you need the capital for?
Buying equipment.
What equipment did you
get? Solar irrigation kits. And I decided instead of waiting for getting all the money to do the solar irrigation, I can start with the drip lines and just have a small tank to supply the water.
So you in the ideal setting, you would need the money to have a perfect setup, but the
Yes.
perfect setup didn't have to hold you back from starting to lay the bricks, starting with the first layer, then build up as you go, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's beautiful. What are the other obstacles? I would like to hear about the top 3 obstacles.
Obstacle 1, like capital. Number 2 will be availability. I work full-time.
Okay.
I have a very demanding job. So chances are the only time I have to actually check will be in the evening and over the weekends. So that is obstacle number 2. Obstacle number 3, apart from the information I've gathered on this side, this is not my full-time job is totally different and not in line with what I want to do as a side hustle. So that might also offer a bit of a challenge.
What is the biggest internal obstacle?
I disassociate very easily. So if things don't go as planned, I have a tendency of dropping projects.
Oh, so you have a tendency to try the project.
Yes.
And as soon as it becomes difficult, pew.
Yes.
It's pew is a French term for leaving a place. Pew.
Yes.
It's so important for you to so from those 4, it's which one resonates the most for you? Do you become discouraged? Do you disconnect? Do you become distracted? Or is it the perception of difficulty that makes you quit on what you want to do?
I disconnect.
You disconnect. Why do you think you disconnect? What does it feel like for you when you continue showing up, trying something that is difficult, frustrating, and it's not progressing, or it's not working out the way you want it? What does it mean for you? What does it feel like for you when you show up?
It feels really bad, but at times I just comfort myself with the thought that probably this was not for me. Maybe I should try something different.
So the times when things are difficult is not the time to let the mind do the talking. Because your vision doesn't come from your mind. You need the mind to do the planning, but the mind cannot be, because the mind wants ready answers. The vision you're trying to create a lot of the times is so far removed, you can't see even half of it, right? It's your mind is like a knife. It wants a bread to cut right now. But what you're trying to build, what you were trying to build now that we're in December, when you were trying to build this project, you didn't even know that you would end up specializing in hoho and dropping the spinach, right?
Yes.
Right. So you don't allow your mind to make decisions at that time. The reasons that the mind gives you are rarely the reasons why you started. The mind gives you the reasons to quit. It doesn't remind you of the reasons why you started. It doesn't remind you of the purpose why you started. It doesn't point out to the deeper why that drove you, someone who already has a busy job, to start this side project, right? So the question is, so you said it feels really bad. What does that mean? What is it that you feel? Until you have clarity about what bad means, when it shows up, you won't know. You'll find yourself caught, you'll find yourself having quit. But if you don't know what is the emotion that actually shows up, what is that emotion that you find so intolerable that makes you disconnect? Because you are disconnecting to protect yourself emotionally. So what is that emotion, the real feeling bad? What does feeling, can you describe to me from a time when you were in a circumstance, you were doing something like this and you felt bad? What did you feel?
Inadequate, incompetent, unskilled. Yes.
So tell me what it felt like in your body.
tight feeling in the heart. You
Tight
feel
feeling.
down
Tight
in the
feeling
heart,
in the
around
heart,
the chest,
meaning where? So
around the chest area.
around the chest area. Okay, yeah. You are
Yes,
talking
yes.
with the heart doctor. So the heart is on the side here, but a lot of the times when we say the heart, we mean here.
Everywhere.
So you feel tightness in the chest.
Yes.
Yeah. What else?
Maybe nervous, some butterflies in the stomach.
Butterflies in the stomach. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So
how does it feel when you are, if you can remember, how any time when this has happened before, how did it feel when you woke up in the morning and then the thought of that project came into your mind? Like what kind of images, feelings, sensations? And I'm particularly interested in what are those specific sensations you feel?
fatigue. You just feel tired. You have no energy in you to do even simple tasks.
Why do you think you feel fatigued, yet you have been sleeping the whole night, you wake up in the morning and you actually feel fatigued during a season when you're dealing with something like that?
Mostly because it's not only physical, it's a lot of mental activity, just going through a project. There's a lot of emotion involved.
Yeah.
So even if you sleep and you still have the thoughts wandering through your head, I'll still wake up feeling fatigued.
That's you said something very, very important. It's not just you started with physical and also mental. So you feel fatigued because you are in defensive mode. You feel fatigued because you feel unsafe and your body does not relax even when you lie down, which is why you perceive this tightness here. When you perceive tightness, especially in the chest area, butterflies, it means there is tension. Your muscles are in defensive mode. You feel unsafe. And you can only feel unsafe for so long before you mentally disconnect. And once you disconnect, you no longer think about the project, you start feeling safe again. In other words, the project became a threat to you, not just physically, but also psychologically, emotionally to you. So if you are not clear about what happens, you will not perceive it when it starts to happen. You will just catch yourself having already disbanded the project, right? This would be the reason why when you start something new, something, especially something audacious, you cannot falter on your fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? We've spoken about this. Somebody needs to mute their microphone. Your fundamentals, especially movement. The times when you are dealing with this, your body just needs you to feel safe again. Your body needs, you feel bad because your body is giving you signals. You need to relieve this tension. We end up quitting intellectually from a project when we need physical relief. And once you find physical relief, you also emotionally actually feel lighter. When you start a project, this is the time when movement is a must. Because if you move the body, the mind will follow you. But if the body is stagnant, everything else becomes stagnant. So now you go from a day when you are already in a physical state where you feel unsafe, and then you sleep. What your body perceives when you sleep is that you are now totally vulnerable. And that's when you dream that all the ho-hos have been eaten, or they have been stolen, or the spinach has rotten. You dream about all these things because you are in a vulnerable state. When you transitioning from wakefulness to sleep is a very, you're going into a state of vulnerability. If you are already vulnerable, you feel insecure, and your body is telling you that because you feel tight, you can't breathe properly, you need to break this tension. That is one of the most important reasons why movement is indispensable. If you didn't know it, this is the reason why athletes are as successful as they are. Athletes are successful because despite dealing with high-stake environments, movement is built into their routines. If you are going to the Boston Marathon, you'll be racing against 25,000 people and you'll be on camera, right? You've been training for 10 months for this one race. If you trip just in one step, you might lose the whole thing, even if you have a chance of winning millions. right? They are dealing with high stakes, but they are dealing with high stakes. Movement is a natural part, so that by the time they go to bed, they have been running for 3-4 hours. Movement for you and movement for me movement is one of the most underrated parts of how we can live a more productive life. The better you move, the better you sleep. The better you sleep, the better you feel. Just those two things by themselves, they set you up for success regardless of what obstacles you are facing. The better you move, the better you sleep. And then everything else follows. What kind of foods do you feel like eating those times when you are in that state where you feel tight in the heart, the whole heart?
Ice cream, chocolate.
Yep. Is that the time you're looking for spinach with minimal salt and vegetarian diet? Right?
No, diet goes out.
And how much ice cream is enough when you are is it one scoop?
No, a whole tub.
You mean you start with the first cup before you go for the second one?
Yes. No, I take the whole tub and sit down with it.
Yeah, you are like, you'll just take 3 scoops and then before you know it, during that time, the only ice cream that is enough is all the ice cream in the house. You stop eating ice cream because you've run out of ice cream.
Yes.
Right? So for you, it's my feedback to you, and this will apply even to your main job. Become very vigilant about the times when tension begins to sneak up on you, because the tension creates a domino effect. The tension makes you feel unsafe, and then it starts to limit you in how you show up, even in your main job. And the better you become at addressing this tension, it will translate to how you deal with your colleagues, how you communicate with customers, how you handle new assignments. You can imagine you have this project at home that has already put you in this state. You show up at work, you're psychologically feeling unsafe, and your boss shows up. They're like, oh, we have a new project and we would like Eunice to be part of the team. You're like, oh, I am already feeling unsafe and inadequate. And now you're giving me something additional. What does the new project do? It aggravates the tension that you already have. And now you not only feel inadequate, if you end up making a mistake, now you feel inadequate and stupid, right? Mm. And then because you feel inadequate and stupid, now you say things that end up proving that maybe the state you are in is beginning to manifest. It becomes a spiral. Your physiology is your most sensitive indicator in terms of where you are. And the action for you is making movement a must. You make movement a must. You start making movement a must. You face obstacles, you activate your resilience, you show up to your agreed movement. Start off with those 10 push-ups we just did and increase them. You can do 10 push-ups every single day. Every day you wake up from the bed, and before as soon as your feet hit the floor, your hands also hit the floor. And you do your 10 push-ups right there. 30 seconds, less than a minute, you have already activated your mind and indicated to your mind that today we are moving, right? And it begins to break that tension. And I always encourage people to combine movement with breathing. So whenever I do my push-ups, as I'm going down, I exhale. As I'm coming up, I inhale. So I would rather do less push-ups, but do them slowly, but then breathe, controlled breathing. As I go down, I'm exhaling. As I come up, I'm breathing in, right? If I'm stretching, I'm not just stretching really quickly. I am stretching and I'm like breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathe, so that you combine physical movement with breath. If you do those 4 things together all by themselves, you are moving and you are breathing and you are sleeping adequately, and you make a movement consistent by attaching it to something you do every day. You wake up every day. The day you don't wake up, you don't have to do your push-ups. You can skip it. But the days you wake up, you make it a requirement. You attach it to something else. This is what James Clear in his book Atomic Habits calls stacking habits together. You link them and create a chain. So I hope you found something practical from that segment, including, of course, starting the day for us by doing the first 10 breakthrough push-ups live on Zoom. I hope you pick something from there that you can actually apply practically, and we can take everything else going forward. What's your biggest takeaway for yourself so far?
So far, the fact that I need to identify what makes me feel bad, which I have come down to inadequacy, and also the movement now. At least I have something I can actually do on a daily basis.
Yeah, so that the inadequacy, that is a whole discussion all by itself. We can, hopefully we get another chance to speak to you. We can narrow down to the specific scenarios that make you feel inadequate. It's not everything. Everything else hangs onto a hook, and that hook hangs on something specific. And once we can figure out what that is, you can actually start diffusing its power to a point where the things that used to make you inadequate become neutral. Or you can even flip it, it becomes a source of your power. I used to be so nervous about my stuttering until I realized when I stutter, I tend to pause. And so even, I'm sure most of you don't realize when I am stuttering. That's because when I stutter, it sounds like Mogire is thinking. He's not thinking, he's stuttering. But I was like, all right, we are going to flip this thing. It's no longer an inadequacy. It's just a feature of my speech, right? If you know me, just like right there, I just started, but you couldn't tell it. If you know me, a lot of the times when I speak, I tend to speak, I probably have a little bit more variance in my tone than most people who, in the space, at least the other speakers I speak to. And that is something I had to train myself to do. I realized that when I change the tone, for example, I'm speaking like this and I go next, like in this circumstance, it pulls me from that place when I was about to get stuck into a new set point. So I don't know the source of that perception of inadequacy. It's keep thinking about the circumstances when you most tend to even anticipate that you will feel inadequate. If we can figure out the specific circumstances, we can find what the pattern is, and you can actually diffuse it and start to utilize the same things that used to make you inadequate, but to flip them, because it's a perception. These are things you feel that nobody else knows. They are not written in any book. They don't appear in any YouTube channel or television. They are purely in here. Your media house is all in here. It's a really weird media house. It can create a movie that convinces you, but you are the only audience to that movie. Because you are the only audience to that movie and nobody else knows it, we can change the movie. And nobody will know that you've changed the movie. You don't have to wait for external feedback to change the movie. So that will be we'll stop that segment there and move to someone else. But thank you, Eunice.
Thank you too.
Yes, let's find another lucky participant. Who is going to be our next lucky participant? Unfortunately, I would ideally prefer to do the hot seat with people on video. When we do it with people off video, it's just difficult. So if you are interested in participating in the hot seat, please turn on your video. And today we are going to go to Fanis Nyathiwa Omondi, all the way from Washington, D.C. Fanis is a neighbor of Joe Biden in a hotel in Washington, D.C. Good evening, Nyathiwa.
Good evening.
Yes, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Just catching a cold, but I'm well.
Yeah, that happens every single time I travel. So I never leave cetirizine behind. I take cetirizine before, and of course it also helps me sleep. I take cetirizine after I arrive. Otherwise, I would usually end up with really bad colds after I fly. 2024 was an amazing year for Fanis. What is the highlight? What is the one most important thing that happened in 2024?
The most amazing thing was that I was not bothered by the actions of other people.
Why?
As I was in 2023.
Fantastic. Why was that a highlight? Why is that a highlight?
Because it helps me to focus on what is important and not the person.
Okay.
I deal with people so much, and so yeah, and as we all know, there's nothing as hard as dealing with people.
So our goal is you've started us off at the level of behavior. Not being bothered by other people is a behavior. It's a response to what other people are doing. Okay. We have 6 layers. There is environment at the outermost circle is environment, followed by behavior, followed by capacity, followed by beliefs, followed by identity. Then at the center, we have the core, which is the why, the reason, the source. And so you have started us with behavior. Our goal is to move from behavior to capacity to beliefs, to go in. You don't have to think about, oh, which level is that answer coming from? I will guide you. So our goal is to go deep, to come out from the outer layers and go further in. Most of the times when we give a response that starts with because, we are mostly relying on what the mind can generate and we can explain, right? We can start there and just do not try to edit yourself. I'm just pointing out, just to hopefully help you understand another layer of this model that we keep using all the time. So my goal is to know why this is important to you as a person, so that we get to a point where it's no longer about how you respond to people and what it means when you're dealing with people, because that is still at the level of behavior. Anytime it comes with interactions with other people, it's at the level of behavior and the level of capacity. The level of behavior in terms of how I respond, capacity in terms of how I am able to respond. But we want to go beyond those first 3 layers and go further in. So why was it important? Why is it an important thing for Fanis that in 2024, you got to a point where you no longer care about what other people think?
I become the better version of myself.
Why is it important for you to become the better version of yourself?
Because when I become a better version of myself, when I become a better version of myself, I accomplish much. I can, the sky will be the limit. I can do anything.
So becoming a better version of yourself is either a belief or an identity, right?
Yes.
Sky is the limit, is about what you are able to do. So that is back to capacity, which is an outer layer. So we will try and stay in there. So why is it important for you to become a better version of yourself, which is movement towards an identity?
Then I'll be able to control my emotions and understand my emotions when they arise. You know, like I said, I don't want to. I want to be able to focus on me and not on what others think. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
You've traveled, you're in a different environment. If you find that maybe you're not making, it's not coming as easily, perhaps we can leave it at the point, whatever point we stop, you reflect about it, and then we can revisit, right? Because the responses you just give me are still pointing towards behavior and towards capacity. I want to know why it really, really, really matters. What would it mean to you? What would it mean to you if you were not able to become a better version of Fanis?
Oh my God, it will. I'll be frustrated. I'll feel depressed.
Why?
Because it means I will be fussy. I'll be messy. I'll be hungry with everybody, and no one.
Why is that not something that you just say, that is how I am?
I don't want to be that, because that's what actually people think I am. That Fanis is a angered person and who is not able. So I don't want to be that, and that will not be the Fanis that I want to be.
What does it make you feel when people perceive you like that, when that's not what you want?
Oh my God. I feel depressed. And I feel unworthy, and I wish they could know who I am, but again, I cannot force them to see who I am. So yes.
Describe to me what it feels like when those emotions arise, and I want to hear, what is the sensation? What does it feel like?
What does it feel like? It feels low. It feels like I'm at the bottom of the pit, Doc, and it feels it's a very bad feeling. I cannot control. I cannot be who I am.
I'm seeking for you to describe for me sensations. What does, I want to be able to think and imagine in your body where at bottom of the pit is a metaphor that can mean many things, but physically, what does it feel to you physically?
I feel like unworthiness. I feel like I'll be like incapable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in terms of your body, is there any place where you have either tension or tightness, or how is your breathing when that is happening?
On my stomach? Yeah, on my stomach.
What do you feel in your stomach?
The pain. Some pain on my stomach. Yes.
What kind of pain? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it burning? Is it piercing? Is it
Dull.
Needles? Dull pain?
Dull, yes.
Is it in just one spot, or is it like a wide area?
Wide area.
Okay. Is it pain that comes up suddenly, or is it like something that comes gradually?
Gradually.
Gradually, okay. And what does it make you feel, the pain?
It's depressing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has there been a situation where you needed to either lead a project or be in a meeting or make a presentation or speak to a client or speak to a colleague when you are already deeply in that sensation?
Yes, several.
And are those the sometimes when you also feel inadequate or not?
Yes. And most of the time, what I will do, I'll go to a colleague just to consult, and yeah, just to get a bearing of myself and just to get the other opinion. And yeah, it helps me to get a bearing. I don't fear to say that I am weak, I am low, I'm not in a position, yes. And sometimes it doesn't augur well because the people around me feel like I am capable of doing it. And so when I say I am not able to do it, they think I don't want to do it. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
It's from the very first time I interacted with you on video during the Momentum Challenge, it was very clear to me that you are wired to be in leadership. You cannot sit at the back. And if you sit at the back, you will feel very frustrated. So anything that holds you from stepping out, it's when we feel inadequate, we consult people for things we already know, but it makes us feel better for somebody else to say the same thing or even say something less refined than what we already have. But at that time, we are not looking for answers. We are looking for soothing.
Confirmation.
So the confirmation kind of soothes the pain you have. You're consulting for the mind so that hopefully that can translate down to what you are feeling. You are walking around with an actual pain. You are almost like a patient. It's just that you don't have malaria, which we can treat. You actually have an actual tension that unfortunately you can carry with you, such that you'll be in an environment where something really small happens, but somehow your emotions actually flare up because you are in defense mode. Anytime you have tension that relates to the viscera, we call them the viscera. The viscera are the internal organs. Anytime you have tension around your gut, and in your chest, you feel unsafe in some way. Something is making you feel unsafe. And if something makes you feel unsafe, you are going to find a way to protect yourself. One of the ways to protect yourself is to be like a porcupine, where you use your emotions and they poke out like this so that everybody can stay far from you, right? Or you can swoon, where you shrink even the things that you are amazing at, and everybody knows you are amazing at those things. You shrink and narrow yourself so much so that you are no longer, because you don't want to cause more unsafety for yourself. So, Fanny, the being able to notice when that sensation is coming up is the key to getting out of that sensation. But unfortunately, that sensation did not start today. It must have started at some point. And a lot of the times you'll find it started way, way, way far in some distant past. I don't know whether you can remember without pinpointing any specific scenarios. Let's just go back to college. Are there any situations you remember feeling that sensation? And I'm not saying it started in college. We're just searching for places when it started. Or let's even start with the first day when you started. When you started your first job and you had to do a major assignment, can you describe to me what it felt like?
I think I'll say, give me 1 minute. I just switch off the gas. I was warming water.
Okay.
I would say the first one was when I was, I started my primary school like boarding when I was in class 6, and I was this new small girl, and I don't know what happened to the deputy, but I entered into a boarding school and I felt inadequate because I was put as the assistant head girl. And you can imagine, for those who've gone to boarding school here, and everything is stolen and you're even bullied. And you're the assistant head girl. So all my life in primary, I didn't even know how it feels like just to be a pupil. You are new, you are just getting your bearing. And because class 7, I was a deputy, class 8, I was a head girl. So I found it like, especially at the beginning, that where was I given this role? And yet I was so new, yet I was among the people, like I went home with nothing, everything was stolen and all that. Yeah. So that's the first instance that comes to my mind.
How was that transition from, so you went from day school living at home with your parents to suddenly thrust into leadership there was no election, you just found yourself there. You didn't campaign, you didn't say, when I become the assistant head girl, I will support the head girl.
During our days, there are not those things. Yeah.
You didn't say, as when I become the assistant head girl, I'm going to help this school.
No, there are no such, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really, I felt like inadequate, especially in class 6. I felt like, why? And I was being bullied while so it was kind of tough for me. Of course, I got my bearing later, but I really felt inadequate. That's the first time I can remember.
So I just pointed that out to show you one thing, that you are trying to solve a pattern that is very deeply rooted. It's very experienced. Your gut knows how to twist and go into that tone and destabilize you really quickly. And that's because it didn't start today. So you can imagine going through all of primary school and every single day your gut is in that state, right? So perhaps some of the behavioral mannerisms which you might not even be aware about, which your colleagues see, and they use them to perceive you as who you are instead of who you truly are, they have been defenses that you needed. You are suddenly out of your home, your things are being stolen, but in addition to that, you're tasked to lead the people that are bullying you. So you live in psychological unsafety. Even when you sleep at night, you don't know if somebody is going to come by and pour cold water on you. When you get into the bed, you don't know whether the bed will be wet already. You don't know whether those big guards who are bullying you will come and wake you up and take away your blanket, right? So that is a long period of unsafety. The parents, the people that should protect you are no longer with you because now you're a big girl, head girl, right? And so this is a pattern, and this is resolving this pattern is it's going to take a lot of, I went through so many of those experiences. I was born out of wedlock, and in the Kisi culture, you are already a loser. How dare you get born out of wedlock? Why couldn't you wait until your mom gets married, then you could get born, right? So that's what I'm dealing with. So I am dealing with rejection, rejection, rejection. I carried the label where even boys younger than me were calling me by that label, which is the most disrespectful label anywhere. And so for my journey of undoing that pain, those years of living with tension, and for me it was just like it was in the belly, where there's just this area that once I feel tight there, it doesn't matter what I know. I will be given a presentation to make, and I will make some stupid mistakes. That's because there's a more powerful pattern in here that has learned to act like that automatically, where you can imagine right now you're in Washington. You should be feeling like Washington. You should be reflecting, come on. You can go and stand outside White House and be 50 meters away from Biden, right? But that pattern doesn't care. It doesn't care because it's very experienced. That pattern has been lifting muscles for years and years and years. So it's becoming aware of when you are in that state, noticing when you are in that state, and opting not to make any comments, not to make any contributions, to minimize what you do so that you focus on breathing it through and relaxing, but most importantly, movement. Just move. When you feel you are in that state, those are the days when you actually move. So it's going to take a lot of consistency, a lot of vigilance, watching out for it, so that you don't end up making any major commitments, any major decisions. You don't necessarily speak to people, consulting when you are deeply in that state. Have you ever worked with a therapist?
Oh, I think all my life. I am in the same boat like you. I've been brought out of wedlock, and rejection is part of, we are the ones who our mothers couldn't wait.
Why were you in a rush to be born? You couldn't wait until your mom gets married.
She decided not to go to school, and
you could just refuse. You could refuse coming out and just stay in there.
I couldn't. My time had come. So rejection is part of it, and I've had to go through a lot of therapy to actually.
That's
and
amazing.
Of course, again,
you can't stop.
On the other part, being the firstborn, you have a whole lot of people looking up to you.
Firstborn
and taking the role.
Firstborn or deputy parent? Which one?
I think it's deputy parent.
Yeah.
Because at some point I had to take care of all my siblings when things were not so good.
Responsibilities without parental privileges.
Exactly, yeah.
A director of a company where you don't get dividends.
No.
Be vigilant about the times when that pattern shows up, particularly when you are about to take some important actions. Be curious whether or not you are in the right emotional state. Otherwise, your own mind, subconscious mind, can actually end up believing what the people around you believe, right? Because your subconscious mind needs to make sense of the world, right? And it uses the signals it receives. And one of the most powerful signals is the emotional signal that your body sends. And it's a lot of the times we feel things, but we are not aware that we are feeling things. We have tension in the chest, tension in the gut. We don't realize that we are feeling the tension in the gut. So you can imagine you have tension in the gut, and suddenly you have a report to present to the executive board, right? And then you stand there, and suddenly the voice from that girl who was born out of wedlock comes up. Those little girls that were bullying you come up, right? And so you are destabilized because you started off from an emotionally insecure point, and now that emotional insecurity is actually magnified by everything else that surrounds you in that point. You make the presentation, then you leave, and then you think about 349 different ways you could have made that presentation better. Not
just
really
like the
that.
other, just like yesterday when we did the checkup, I was like, I didn't do well. I thought like 100 times that I would have said it better.
Yeah.
I just hope that will not happen now.
The genius mind shows up after the performance, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
the genius comes with the judge. The genius says,
Yes.
these are the 100 different ways you could have done it. And the judge says, why didn't you do it like that? Are you
Yes.
stupid
And
or something? Not realizing the version of you that was actually making the presentation is the 7-year-old that was being bullied. And this presentation is just another round of bullying. That's what it feels like. It feels exactly the same. So becoming really, really curious about the times those sensations show up, those emotions show up, because we don't become depressed. We become tense first from insecurity for some reason, and everybody has their own flavor. We become tense, and then it leads to anxiety or depression, or it expresses itself in a way that we can label it mentally. But first of all, we should be able to label it physically. If you can identify what it feels like physically, that is the beginning of breaking that pattern, whatever the pattern is.
thank you.
What's your biggest, any insight or any new thoughts, anything that you want to give to us based on your experience and what you perceived today?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is I need to, when I'm feeling these, I need to identify the emotions, like when I'm feeling them, and I need to become aware and not make any comments or commitments at that particular time, and continue being vigilant in my moving. Unfortunately, I've not been moving in DC because it's very cold.
Okay, all right. So we are going to wait for you. Please do your 10 push-ups.
So yeah,
go off Zoom and do your 10 push-ups. We will wait for you. The rain doesn't stop the 10 push-ups.
oh
Let's
God.
get 10 push-ups from Nyathiwa.
1, 2, 3.
You can let us know when we need to call ambulance if you don't survive it. We are waiting.
Oh.
Did you survive?
I'm done.
You made it. All right. All right. Everybody, please thank God that Fanny's made it. All right. So
Until I'm sweating now.
Yep, the rain. Let's talk about that. So the rain being the reason why you haven't done your movement. If we go to back to that model, there is environment, behavior, and capacity. So what level do you think the reason why you didn't do your movement is?
It's the environment.
Yep, that is the most disempowering source of any explanation, right? Yep.
This place is 7 degrees outside, and
How many degrees is it inside?
okay, inside it's okay. Of course it's heated, but outside it's 7, and back at home I go outside. It's more refreshing.
Nyathiwa, stop speaking. Stop speaking. You will do another 10 push-ups and at least 10 sit-ups after this meeting. Is that a commitment?
Yes, before I sleep, yes. Yes.
The goal is to move. It's not to move outside in Washington. The goal is to move. Whether you're moving outside or inside or even in the corridor, it doesn't matter. I'm in a hotel. I woke up and the first thing that I did was do my stretching, do my push-ups, do my sit-ups. It's the first thing that I have to do. If I don't do that, by the time I show up here, I'll be a little bit kind of pumped. But now, once I've done that, then I can lock into a higher energy level, and I can deliver without worrying about my energy fluctuating. Okay. So
Great.
environment is that. So watch out for that. That will be it for your segment, Fanis. Coming to us live from Washington, trying to become a neighbor to Biden. Right. Let's see. Oh, we'll go to Florence because I know, Florence, you had some significant events happening this week. Florence Kamau. Let's have Florence come on. Good morning.
Good morning and good evening. This morning, I am quite delighted. I am excited. Yesterday, I had a major event in my life. And as I was setting my intention, I purposed to be victorious. And indeed, I emerged victorious. And everything went well as I had intended.
First of all, a round of applause for Florence. That's great. That's beautiful to hear. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
in other words, you survived it.
Yes, I did. And after that in incident, many people wanted to understand who is Florence and why I took the steps that I took, because many people had tried to sway me out to part with some money and rest, but there was an inner power that was telling me to do the right thing. And I chose to obey it, despite the much persuasion and being told that things can go this direction. But I said, I'll face it. I chose to remain unshakable as I had purposed. And quite a number of people are telling me, we need to have a sit down and you tell us where you gathered all that courage, where all that determination came from. And I'm telling them, yeah, come along, we'll talk.
When they ask
that's how my deal.
When they ask that, just close your eyes and put your hands here like Wakanda and tell them, intentionality gives me the power to embody the identity God designed for me.
True. As I was leaving the house, I said, I want to be impeccable with my words, with my thoughts, and with my actions. And every time a negative stimulus would try to visit, I would just echo those words, and they helped me a lot to pull through the day. And I was done within a very short time and went back to my routine. I had even told my boss I will not show up to work, and she was shocked to come to the office and find me already there seated and working. And she's telling me, are you a ghost? I am telling her, no, I already attended to the issues I needed to attend to, and here I am, ready to serve. And my day unfolded well, and it came out with a great sense of achievement.
So in other words, you are struggling with the director of the movie creator that is up here, that was already painting the pictures and creating the possibilities, the 59 different possibilities that they could have gone wrong, right?
Yes, it was quite a huge struggle.
Yeah. Tell me, when you went to bed anticipating that this would be happening in the morning, I want you to try and remember what kind of sensations, what was it feeling like?
I can be very truthful. I didn't sleep well because there was an internal conflict. It's like I was dealing with two kingdoms. One kingdom which was telling me this is the softest way of doing it, and another one which was telling me this is the right way of doing it, but it will cost you. And the kingdom that was telling me the soft way of doing it was overwhelming. But I remained focused, and there was also this other voice which was telling me, being a Christian, you have a duty to do the right thing. Yes, you might go through the soft way, but you will live with attitude. Look at the much other time you'll need to invest for you to be at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
And that kept on replaying in my mind. And in the morning, when I woke up, the scripture that was deposited in my spirit was from Jeremiah 33 and verse 3, which says that, call unto me, and I will answer you, and I will tell you of great and unsearchable things that you've never seen or even imagined. So I said, this is reassuring. I only need to call unto God and tell him what I truly want to see at the end of this day. Yeah. I made a short prayer and I felt at peace, and even the many calls which kept coming in the morning asking me, have you changed your mind? I still stood on my foot and I told them, I still stand with the words that I spoke yesterday. Nothing has changed. Yeah. That still remains my stand. And there was a lot of persuasion that, why are you doing this? Why are you torturing yourself? But I told them I don't want to venture into explaining why, but I need the decision I have made to be respected. Yeah.
That's I don't envy you, because I know what being in that kind of tense situation can feel like, where it's very interesting how our mind can create unsafety, where probably there is not, it amplifies the perception of unsafety, and of course our nervous system just takes cue from what the mind is thinking and then acts on it, because your autonomic nervous system doesn't know the difference between something you're imagining and something that is actually happening. If you've ever walked in a village at night, you will see a bush from a distance and it looks like a lion. And your body just creates all the fear. And then suddenly there is just a flash from maybe whatever, it's thunderstorm, and then you realize it's a bush, and then suddenly that fear goes away. And so I can't imagine if we had a way of recording the movies that your mind created yesterday. I think we might have a winner for an Oscar award if we submitted it, if we captured that movie about, you know, the possibilities of everything that could go wrong. So I want you to think through the model that we usually use. Those 6 layers. At the center, you have your source or why. Then secondly, you have the second layer is identity. The third layer is beliefs. The fourth layer is capacity. The fifth is behavior. And the outermost, the sixth layer is environment. What level do you believe that you are operating from most of the time with regards specifically to this incident you were dealing with yesterday?
I would say at first I was at the level of belief.
And what was the belief?
Whereby the belief that being a Christian, I should not be doing something that contravenes my faith.
Okay, yeah.
So that is the level
of belief
at which I was operating in. But and then I felt I moved to the level of capacity of saying, devoid of whether I am a Christian or not a Christian, doing what I was being swayed to do is not the right thing. Let's start from there. Whether I am a believer or I am not, it is not the right thing. And it is within my capacity to do what is right. The choice is within me to do or not to do.
Okay.
And then as I struggled with that, and then I moved to the level of identity. Who is Florence? And I had several definitions of who is Florence. And I am like, even the kind of a person I have portrayed to be. Am I putting that person at stake? Am I sacrificing that person? And it's at that point I felt like this would be too much to give. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you've, as far as I can tell, based on what I know so far, without going into the specific details of what the event involved, I think you have the understanding very clear. When we have a major decision to make, if we are not clear at the level of identity, what direction we are going to go, it doesn't matter what decision we make, we will have some regrets. And your grounding, your final decision, ended up anchored on identity. That is the most secure level that we have control over. We don't have control over the source, the deeper, the sixth layer, the deeper one. The grounding, when you say, I am not changing, you are anchoring to identity. And that is the deepest layer that we have control over when you anchor back on identity. You can use beliefs, you can use capacity, you can use behavior. But the securest layer, the securest level where when you make, this is my decision, this is what I have decided. I am not changing my mind. All those points towards identity. When you show up to make a presentation, and you say, I am here to speak to these people. I am here to sell. And you actually feel that you are operating from the level of identity. When you show up and you are like, it's important for me to sell for my company, that's at the level of beliefs, and you lose something because you're not carrying all of you into there. When you show up, you're like, I need to speak well. I need to finish this present. I need to convince them. You are trying to utilize behavior. And those outer layers, there's something that you lose. So I feel that you got anchored on the deepest layer that we can have direct control on, which is identity. And once you anchor on identity, now you can tap into whatever support you need from behavior, from capacity, from beliefs, and even from your source, from deeper in. So I just wanted to touch base with you because I remember during the daily reset, I could tell that something is happening to Florence, because I could tell, and I am very happy to see the smile on your face, and I can see the relief. When you spoke to us during the daily reset, your eyes were mostly darting towards the left. And that's because you are mostly visualizing. Today, when you spoke to us, almost all the time when you are starting a new sentence, your eyes are darting upwards. So that is totally diametrically opposed physiology in terms of what you are no longer, you're not scared of, subconsciously scared of something coming at you. You are safe where you are. You're like, all right, let's keep this ship moving upwards. So I'm really glad to see where you are now. What is your biggest takeaway from this whole incident that happened?
The power to win is within me.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's quotable. The power to win is within me. Yeah, the power to win is within me. That's beautiful. And we will end it there. Thank you, Florence.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are going to now have an open session. I need to unpin myself too, so that I can see everyone else. We are going to have an open session, and I will leave it open. If you have any question, please bring it up. If you have something pressing that you would like to share, bring it up. We'll allow a couple of seconds to see whether there is any question before we do a round of reflections. Any question, any pressing contribution? If it comes up in the process of the rest of this session, please bring it up. I'm going to call out a few people to just give us some reflections, starting with Sylvia. Just reflections about this whole session, anything that you want us to, from your perspective, your own insight, or just anything really briefly.
Okay.
Sylvia, the lady with the vertical screen, give me a second to pin you so that people can see you. Yes. Let's go.
Morning, everyone. Just listening to Florence and yourself having that discourse, it was very inspiring to hear, even without knowing the details, that, members of this group, and Florence specifically, are staying true to themselves, to their integrity. And for me, that's a thing that I really resonated with. Repeatedly being in positions where there's a really big conflict between your own beliefs and what you know to be true and what you know to be right, and what the different directions that you're being pulled towards. So that was very encouraging and very inspirational. The conversation you had with Nathiwa, I think what stood out for me was the fact that a lot of the time we're battling with things that have emotions and dispositions that have really taken root within us. As you put it, things that have been lifting the weights. They've been doing their push-up for years, and now you're coming here trying to fix them in an instant. And so the patience to work through things and think through the beginnings of our either inadequacies or feelings of inadequacy was something that was a take home for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. You guys can see the difference in the screens. She's the lady with the vertical screen. Marcy J. Let's have you on. You are highlighted. Let's go.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, wow. During the Nathiwa session, I could sense a lot of emotions. Some questions resonated with me. And maybe let me just highlight something. The last week, I was in Kisumu the whole week for some work, and I posed on all the things I'd been doing. I mean, I'd caught up on and things like that. And I realized now that like that brain fog and all that kind of thing, today bringing up movement and saying I was stuck, I felt that stagnantness just in life in general. So yeah, I see how that connects with the intentionality, the things I'm trying to achieve, and why consistency is important. So I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be in this session, and I have a lot to reflect based on your session. Florence, well done. I mean, that's quite encouraging. Yeah, I can envision that situation. I can't feel it, but it's just so good to know you're in a community where that kind of achievement is. It gives me more strength to stick it out and work through the things that I'm learning. I felt fear the most when I kept repeating those questions you were asking. They were like a sense of so much fear that makes me maybe do destructive things to stop me from my path. So yes, I felt the emotions. So it's been quite a session for me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marcy. That's a direct, clear, and beautiful reflection. I will add nothing to it. Let me get a couple of people who are off video. I know Gladys is off video because she's traveling. Are you able to share, Gladys? If you're not able to, that's all right. We got someone else. Let's see. Beth Ndungo. Beth, are you able to share? Please unmute yourself and let's hear your voice. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Beth. Let's go.
Hi, everyone. You can hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear. Oh, now your voice disappeared for some reason.
Now?
Are you using headphones or?
I have to disconnect. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I had to disconnect. I was on Bluetooth.
Okay.
Yeah, so today's session was really awesome. it resonates a lot with what I've been going through, and especially with the first two ladies, that was Eunice and Fanny's hot seat. When you're talking about the tension, for some reason today and yesterday I had this tension on my chest. Yeah, I know the triggers as to what caused that. Something that I'm working towards. And also on the action and the obstacles that I've been facing from the goals that I wanted to achieve come December 2024. So these are things that I think I really need to work on.
Yeah.
And it feels good to know that I'm not, people go through things that I'm going through. Yeah. It's also easy to demystify the emotions and the obstacles that are making me not get to my actual goal. I think I posted on the group, I've been going through grief, and this is something that has really been holding me back. Yeah, it's shaken me. I'm off balance. I'm just trying to rebuild, to get to a place where I can be able to re-strategize and forge forward. So it's really amazing being in this class. It's been very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you, Beth. Yeah, that's a beautiful reflection. And particularly the times when you are dealing with grief after significant loss of some sort, if there is a time when movement becomes absolutely indispensable, that is the time. And I generally recommend to people who are going through grief, at some point you may not be able to do anything because of just how emotionally stuck you feel. But as soon as you are able to, you can't go to bed without doing some kind of movement, especially a bit of sit-ups, maybe like 10 sit-ups, just to do something, and especially do something that forces you to breathe deep. And you can get out of any deep grief faster that way than any other, trying it any other way. So Beth and anyone else going through grief for some reason during my cardiology fellowship, I have dealt with medical residents who had just broken up. So many, for some reason, they're coming to rotate with me in cardiology just after they have broken up. And I'm like, so what shall we do here? Are you going to be seeing patients, or are you going to be nursing your breakup during this time? And it became, if you speak to the residents I work with, before we start walking to go see patients, we do a couple of squats. We start with 5 squats at the beginning of the rotation. By the end of the rotation, 4 weeks later, people are doing 20, 30 squats and doing 20 push-ups easily. And it doesn't matter where. Some start on their knees, but eventually they get to a point where they're actually doing adequate push-ups and squats. So movement, particularly when you are dealing with loss, that is the time that movement becomes absolutely indispensable. I was 100% committed that today we will start on time, which we did, and that we will finish on time, which we are going to do, unless there is anyone who has any burning contribution or burning question.
Hello.
Hey, that is
Can you hear me?
Joan Nyathiwa Omondi. Go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry. Yes, I was on transit as well, just arrived at the rural home. So basically, just a comment, not a question. The month of February, I was exactly in that same position. I was so much pained. I was going through so much pain, not because of grief, but because I was not able to. I was full of worry, and I was just irritable, and I felt like this is not what I deserve. This is not who I am. I felt so inadequate, and I could not help it. And I just sought to find myself and find who I am. And I said, I decided to put a stop on my worrying when I got this book from a dear sister, and I asked myself in the course of I continue worrying and putting myself in that same state. everything else was actually snoozed. Like nothing was moving for me, nothing totally. And a wake-up call came in on 24th of February. And when I started keeping myself busy, I have actually seen the results in the last 2 weeks. I just decided to put it aside. What was paining me, actually, I realized is paining me up to the heartbeat. I was hearing the lady saying about the heart pain, and I just thought about myself, and that is why I sent an emoji of laughing, because that is exactly where I was. But I said, now, if you keep busy, you will not find yourself in such a situation. So for me, it's just a wake-up call. And for those who are healing or those who are in pain, this will also come to pass. So maybe that is just my comment for today. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanne Nyathiwa Omondi, for your contribution. I love that. It's just a clear, there's nothing to be added there. Thank you so much. And if you missed it, what Joanne was trying to say is not that she has arrived in the village. She was trying to say that she has landed in the rural village, the rural residence. She's just landed and she's alerting us. I'm sorry. Yeah, but Joanne knows. I know she can deal with it. And Fanny's can deal with it too. So we are going to finish here. I don't know how many of you are making it the book launch today. I ended up spending so much more time up country taking care of my dad's medical issues. I didn't have as much time as I would have needed to. I had 2 TV interviews canceled. I had a radio interview canceled because the most important man in my life needed me up country. And I know that would have an impact on how the book launch turns out, but that is as long as I did the most important thing that brought me. So I hope I get to see many of you today. I do not know when I would be able to have another event of this kind. And definitely once I start working full-time, even if I have events, it's the tone of the events will be very, very different. Those 7 pillars we looked at, they come from this book. This is not a book. This is a culmination of a curriculum that I have done for more than 8 years formally, but essentially 10 years from the first time that I did it, which is why it's called Shift Your Mindset. I would love for you to get a copy of this book and work along with us in April. We'll have 20 minutes every day to go through each chapter, then you reflect on them on your own, or just get the book and reflect on these components by yourself. There are several chapters in here that I hope that you get a chance to look at. And I particularly want to highlight strategic living that's a chapter all by itself. Daily alignment, the other 2 chapters, the other 3 chapters, there is legacy-driven living. There is embody a clear blueprint, which is the culmination chapter. What is the other chapter that embody redefined success. Do you live by a clearly defined, your own definition of success? What is your definition of success? And those are just a few among the 20 chapters that constitute this book. You have a chapter every weekday for 5 days. Then you have 2 reflection days, and each of them have their own platform, their own program. Couples, I hope that couples can work through this book so that then people can actually end up on the same page with regards to, so what is success for us? What is our blueprint for us? And I can say a lot about this book. I got my copy and the author did not sign the copy for me because I'm the author, but I started working through it again just because this is material I not only want to master, I want to be able to do coaching where I don't have to reference one specific material because I have a ton of material that I live. And because I live it, then I don't have to revise or remember it. I can utilize those insights from my own personal experience to do coaching. It is 7:35 in East African time. That will be the end of our session today. I hope you found some value here. I look forward to see some of you at United. I hope to see all of you at United Kenya Club for the book launch. I wish you an amazing weekend.